The Washington Commanders just got some great news from the National Football League that's going to allow GM Adam Peters to cook during the 2025 NFL offseason. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are pumped for the start of NFL free agency, the Commanders have a ton of cap space to use to re-sign former players, to bring in new players, to trade for players. I can't wait to see the moves that this team's going to make this offseason. If you're with me on that, make sure you click that thumbs up icon and help out today's show. So, today's big news, and it is good news for this team, man, because it's going to lead to even more salary cap for this football team in 2025. The NFL announced today that they are increasing the salary cap by even more than what was projected, and it is really about to explode over the next half decade, guys. You take a look at the salary cap by year in the National Football League, and it increases like $20 million every single season. And every year, it gets the gap between where it was and where it's going increases year over year by like $30 million. It's absolutely crazy. And this year, they announced today, it's going to be somewhere in the range of $277 to $281 million. Dan Graziano from ESPN reported today. The NFL Today informed teams that the 2025 per-team salary cap will fall in the range of $277.5 million to $281.5 million, way up from last year's $255.4 million. Cap will have increased by more than $53 million over the last 2 years. So not only is the salary cap going up, which increases the amount of cap space that the Commanders have at their disposal, but I thought a really good point was put out on X today by NFL YouTuber Brett Kollmann. And by the way, if you don't follow Brett, he does great work over on his channel. I highly recommend you check him out. This is what he had to say on his X account today regarding the salary cap and why it's going to get even bigger in the years to come. He says, this means NFL ratings, in particular from Sunday Ticket on YouTube, are going to be more accurately measured, and that numbers is going to be way bigger than you think because just how many Gen Z and Millennials consume football on streaming services. The salary cap is going to explode again, and it's all because of this change and how Nielsen measures ratings. Starting this year, they are leaning into using data directly from smart TV manufacturers to measure viewing habits in addition to the traditional at-home panel method. More accurate ratings means the league's next broadcast rights negotiation in 2028-2029 is going to be way more expensive, which ultimately means massive jumps in the salary cap. If I'm a GM, that means next year, or maybe even this year, I can sign some truly outrageously backloaded deals with a ton of funny money that all slams home in 2030 and not even care about the math. So essentially what Brett is laying out here and what this means is that Washington not only has a ton of cap space to use on free agents and on trades this offseason, but they can also sign these guys to deals that are super backloaded so they have lower cap hits in the short term, and then by the time that the new broadcasting deal comes in and this salary cap goes absolutely bananas, that cap hit's not even going to be that bad. So I actually think that this is going to allow Adam Peters to maximize this offseason, fill this roster up with as many good talent as he can, and try to get this team in a position to win Super Bowls while Jayden Daniels is still on an affordable rookie contract. You take a look here at the current cap space for the Washington Commanders as it stands right now with the current projections, and they currently project the Commanders will have $82,210,668 to spend this year, but because there's certain cap things that they need to take care of, NFL draft picks, all that stuff, their quote-unquote effective cap space, so essentially the money that they have at their disposal to spend on veterans, both via trade and in free agency, is about $75.4 million, which is obviously a lot to spend, and it's very, very high up there in terms of NFL teams and the cap space that they're going to have at their disposal here in 2025. And this isn't even counting some of the cuts that the team might make this year. Here's some options that the Commanders have at their disposal. They could cut Andrew Wiley, somebody that hasn't really been a good player for this team the last 2 years. You could save $7.75 million by letting him go, and that gets you over 80 right there. Then you get to Percy Butler, who's a backup safety for this team. You can save $3.32 million by letting him go. And then Chris Paul, who's a backup guard, you can save about $1 million if you let him go as well. So this team can certainly get up there in terms of the kind of cap space that they can create. And this isn't even counting the restructures that they can potentially do this offseason with certain players on long-term contracts as well. So I think that Adam Peters is probably going to go nuts this offseason, guys. And, it's not just because you have a ton of cap space. It's also because with the new broadcasting deal coming up in the short-term future, like, he can really plan on backloading some of these deals so that he can get a lot, and I mean a lot, of really good talent on this football team. And in terms of the interest, with Jayden Daniels on his rookie contract, that if you're a veteran player, you want to go try and win a Super Bowl, Washington is definitely a hot place to go right now to try and hoist the Lombardi Trophy if that's what your goal is in your career right now. You take a look at the Commanders' 2025 team needs, and there's no bones about it here, guys. Like, they have a lot of needs. They have a lot to address this year. They have a lot of free agents that they have to make decisions on. They need to make a decision at offensive tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, corner, offensive guard, inside linebacker, strong safety, tight end, running back, kicker, and punter. All these positions, all 11 of these positions right here need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed with starting caliber players. Now, the good news is the Commanders have the cap space to be able to get players at each and every one of these positions, but they do need to be smart about the way that they go about it. And, if I learned anything about Mr. Adam Peters in his first year as this team's GM, I know that he is going to be extremely calculated with the way he uses these funds. And, I think that right now, with the kind of cap space that you have at your disposal, along with the cap that you can still create with the restructures and the cuts that are still at your disposal as well, I think that this is going to be an offseason of epic proportions here on the Commanders Report that I just simply cannot wait to cover with you guys, because I think they're going to make multiple big-time trades. I think that they're going to go out in free agency and really be aggressive. I think there's going to be a lot of veteran players that want to come to the Washington Commanders. And when was the last time you could say that about this franchise, man? And they did it after just one really successful season, getting Dan Quinn, getting Jayden Daniels, and having the success that they had going to the NFC Championship game in just Jayden's rookie season. I mean, right now it feels like that this team is the hot team to go to if you are an NFL free agent. And because of all the different stuff that we talked about today, I think the Commanders are going to have one of, if not the best off seasons of any team in the National Football League here in 2025. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. We know that big moves are coming here, guys, but what will be the biggest move that Adam Peters pulls off this offseason? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. For my money, I think they're going to land Myles Garrett. I think that that's going to be a move that absolutely changes everything on the defensive side of the ball here in Washington. It's going to have a similar impact to the defensive side that Jayden Daniels and adding his presence to the offense had on that side of the ball last year. I think it's going to make this a more complete football team. I think that they're going to probably trade 2 first-round picks to go get him, and they're going to give him an insane new contract. But I think it's going to be worth every penny, especially if the Commanders hoist the Lombardi Trophy in the near future. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. We got more Commanders content coming your way all throughout the offseason. Every time they make a big move, and trust me, those big moves are coming this offseason, guys, we're going to have live coverage for you, breaking it all down right here on the Commanders Report. So for the most extensive Commanders coverage anywhere on YouTube this offseason, make sure you click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.